Hello, welcome back to Dailies and More. Today I'm actually going to be doing something that I've been talking about doing for months, which is fixing the rust hole in my car. So I'm just gonna go over quickly. Actually, I don't have everything yet. One sec. Hi, cat. How's it going? Um, anyway, all the kind of tools that I'm gonna be using today to hopefully do the job. This isn't everything, but it's just kind of what I have on hand right now. I'm gonna have to come back inside a couple times for it. But I have a drill and I have a couple wire wheels here that I got from Emma's parents in order to take off all the rust. I'll show you on the outside later because it has gotten progressively worse. I have just this lightweight body panel filler here. I know it's Bondo, whatever. It's a cheap fix, it's a cheap car. I don't need it to be perfect, I just need it to not look so gaudy. Next, I have some rust reformer. So that'll just kind of neutralize some of the rust, make it an easy to paint and to adhere surface to this. I just have this for the spray gun so I don't get my delicate little hands dirty. Then I have the actual base coat here. I have some primer and I have some clear coat, along with these steel mesh things, which I'm gonna have to use under it because the rust is kind of spread to the underside of the wheel well. So I'm just gonna have to take all that out, cut this, and kind of shape it to what I want to actually hold up the panel filler. And I'm hoping that I purchased enough of this. And then after that, I'm just gonna be cleaning up a couple areas of the paint. So yeah, stay tuned, but that's what I'm using today so far. There's probably a couple tools like for this. You know, I have a putty. But yeah, I also have just like a putty knife, some sandpaper, some other stuff that I am going to be using. But these are kind of the main tools, and it seems like a lot, but I've kind of broken it down into steps. So obviously this is step one right here. The sandpaper and everything else to smooth it over, plus this would be step two. Step three would be this, and then this is kind of the final cleaning up step. And I'm hoping today is both warm enough and out of direct sunlight enough to get all this done, because ideal conditions are hard to meet. I'm not outdoors anyway, so I'm also just going to be like cleaning off all the surfaces first. But yeah, that's where we are right now. Alrighty, so before I get started, I just kind of want to go over where exactly I'm going to be touching up, painting, all this crap. So first thing, this is going to be the biggest pain in the ass right here. You can tell actually that someone sprayed it previously. I'm not going to cut all that out because I don't have room. It actually looks like it was cut and welded. I don't have that much talent, so I'm just going to be using a body panel filler and doing my best. So there's that. And then there's a little bit of a boil right on top of here. I don't know if you can see that. My car is pretty dirty because it's a gravel lot, so it won't stay clean. I'm gonna be cleaning this up from when I redid my spoiler. See, it looks nice and in place. It's just, I had to scratch it up to get it off. Then there's just a couple scratches on the body. I'm not gonna worry about those too much, except for this right here. I'll see if I can fill that in and just paint it over. That should be relatively easy. And then a couple marks here and there on the hood. I'm just gonna have to clean it off first. Wow, look at that. That's a terrible angle of me, but that's okay. It's very shiny. But yeah, let's get started. All right, so luckily, honestly, the metal underneath, I'm gonna try my best to remove the rest of the surface rust. But aside from here and right here, which are the two worst spots, the rest of it is honestly a lot sturdier metal than I thought. I was thinking I was gonna have to remove all of this, but that's still pretty sturdy. So I'm gonna just clean this and this up as best as I can, spray some of that rust reformer right there on it, and then for our purposes, that makes my life so much easier. I'm just going to, as you can see, I left a couple scratches, but that's okay because I'm just going to be cleaning that up and, you know, cleaning up the paint here. We're going to need some sort of rag to get all this rust dust off, but otherwise this might be, knock on wood, I guess, an easier job than I thought, though I should have thought about this ahead of time. In the interest of not getting my wheel all painted, not that it matters, I mean, you know, you can tell it's not in great condition. I'm gonna remove the wheel, give myself a little more clearance, especially to get underneath this. So that's the next step. It's about 80 degrees out here and I'm sweating my nards off, but that's okay. All right, so I got this as cleaned up as I could possibly get it. Then I clean that and let it dry. Now I'm just gonna put some rust reformer on it and let it dry for a couple hours. It says 24, but I don't have time for that, so hopefully it turns out okay. And yeah, let's go from there. All right, the rust reformer is on. Like I said, I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit. It looks like crap for now, but trust the process, hopefully. In the meantime, there were a couple other areas where it was peeling, so I went ahead and took as much rust as I could off. That part I'm not gonna use rust reformer on because that'll just damage my plate. The rest of this, that side up here, I'm probably gonna try to, I need a step stool or something, but I'm gonna try to just get this bubbling spot off and we'll go from there. All right, so at this point, I've identified all the spots I'm gonna be painting today. So obviously there's here where my spoiler is. I sanded that off, about to put some primer on. There is, where is it? Right there. As you can see, it's a little dinged up. So that's gonna need a little bit of filler and then sanding, not anything bad. This, not sure where that came from. I know it's been there since I got the car, but I sanded that down. There's a couple other scratches. That's all that's gonna need is primer. Up there, I sanded off all the rust. No need for rust reformer on that. Just a little tedious for a spot like that. I'm just gonna paint it over. And then, like here, I might see if there's any extra, if I can take care of that. But otherwise, the biggest kind of spots are identified. And then I'm just gonna try to pretty methodically, this is almost done drying. I'm gonna give it maybe 20 more minutes. Once that's all set, then I'm gonna start filling in this area right here. I'm gonna put some over top as well. See, that's still a little sticky, but I'm gonna put some over top as well and then sand it down so that all those bumps are no longer present. And then it should be pretty easy from there. So I'm glad with how it's turning out so far. In fact, even if I were to just leave it with the rust reformer, it looks much better than it did with that big patch of rust. And I'm not that much of a looks guy when it comes to my car, but I like it to look maintained at least. I don't care about new. All right, this seems to be pretty dry, not really sticky. So next step, we're gonna mix the body panel filler with the hardener. I'm just gonna set up a time lapse and then I'm just going to, as the time lapse is going, just fill this stuff in so you can watch from home. Like I said, this is a very amateur body work job. The main goal here is honestly to make it look presentable and to prevent further rust, at least surface rust. I can't do much about up in there. I got the most I could out of there. So yeah. Alright, so this part here is done. As you can see, it looks like crap right now, but I tried to get it as circular as possible without using the, whatchamacallits, the steel mesh. Yeah, so I just gotta let this dry for about an hour. In the meantime, I'm gonna start cleaning up the areas that have the scratches that I'm gonna paint over, just to make my life a little easier here. And then after that, we can get to our, and I also patched that up. So I'm gonna sand it, then put on a layer of primer. All right, so it appears to be dry enough that I can get to work on this. So I grabbed the biggest wire wheel I have, and I'm just gonna try to smooth out all these big bumps, and then I'm gonna sand it down until it's basically smooth. So let's do this. Yeah, it's coming right off. I'm gonna have to clean this again, so I don't know why I went ahead and cleaned it the first time. It's a little dusty again now, but here's kind of the progress after a lot of sanding and all that good stuff. I gotta even out the inside just a little more, but it's pretty smooth now. I know it doesn't look it, but that's because my application wasn't the best. After I smooth it out as best I can, it's time for, I'm just gonna rinse it off real quick and then throw some primer on there, and we'll do the other side as well. All right, we have this sanded as best we can. Now we're just gonna put a little primer on this. Alright, so we got the primer on there. It's not as neat as I could get it. I got some on top of the wing and the spots where it was scratched. Scratch on this side. Up top, I had to put a garbage bag on top of the windshield. And then right here's one, that's the last one. And then the rest don't really need primer, but yeah. It's taken me all day, but so far it's coming out okay. Alright, so I put the wheel back on. Obviously the primer's settled. Now I'm gonna get to sanding it, and then I'm finally spraying the base coat with this nifty little handle here, and then I think we'll just let it dry and put some clear coat on it and we should be good. Alright. Sorry about that. But yeah, it all seems pretty dry to me. Just a quick layer of sanding and then let's do this. Okay, so I'm done with everything, and I think I kind of royally messed up my paint. There's some dripping there. The clear coat is kind of orange peely. This is the only part that honestly looks better, but even so, you can like see the orange peel and see kind of where the shininess stops. So I'm hoping after it dries, you know, 24 hours, let's call it, I'm just gonna try to wash the car, see if that will help. There's obviously some market improvement like here, but there's no longer, you know, missing paint, so it won't rust. But like up here, that doesn't look great, but whatever. I can try to get it like cleaned up at another time. I'm a little disappointed in how everything turned out. I guess it is my first kind of try it body work, but at least the rust patch is no longer there and it looks a little better, and I don't have to worry about replacing the quarter panel for a while. But I think it might be a good call for the rest of the paint to try to get it touched up by, like, you know, a professional, depending on the price. So if you're in the Rochester area, hit me up. Also, I got some black paint on my O&L. If you're in the Rochester area, yeah, let me know. Now, obviously I can't fully protect it, so there's like bugs on it already, which is just my favorite thing ever, but it's okay. That'll come off in the wash.